Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Adrian Pandev, business and immigration attorney, and today we're going to talk about purchasing an existing business for your E2 visa. So often people forget that you don't have to start a business from scratch to qualify for an E2 visa. I assume part of the reason is that so much of the information out online about E2 visas explains how you have to make that substantial investment, how it has to be committed, at risk. You have to purchase all of these, whether it's inventory, leasing space, etc. And people get very focused on that. However, there's an alternative where you don't have to do all of this, in which you purchase an existing US business and do not have to actually plan out what you're going to invest each and every dollar in, but rather that purchase price of the business is what has to meet the E2 requirements. So basically, by purchasing the business, right, the purchase price has to meet that substantial investment requirement, and then any business plans and additional information provided will explain how you will direct and develop this business, how will you scale it, how will you be able to continue to operate it, right, profitably. Now, here are the advantages and disadvantages of purchasing a business for E2 visa purposes. So the biggest advantage is what I just said, right? You do not have to spend so much time figuring out how your specific business plan meets the E2 visa requirements, because you don't have to independently go acquire or lease commercial space if you need it, or purchase the relevant, inventory or equipment or whatever it may be, right? When you're starting from scratch, there's just a lot of planning. So basically, it simplifies the process on the initial planning part. Additionally, the documentation, frankly, is easier for when an existing business is being purchased, because you will show the contract, right? Usually these are structured as asset instead of stock purchases, but the bottom line is you will have to demonstrate the valid contract that you purchased the business, right? Then you will have to show and obviously the payment related to that contract, right? Because you have to show the substantial investment. But the moment you have that, you can show immediately where the funds were invested. And then the additional documents will focus on the business's prior year profit and loss statements, tax returns, etc., to show how the business is doing, right? And to show how you will comply with the other E2 visa requirements, such as marginality and all other requirements. Simply put, it's just less documentation at the E2 visa application phase, and also it's easier to demonstrate how you have met all requirements, especially if that purchase price of the business was high. And it's just, simply put, a simpler E2 visa application in my experience. That being said, when you're purchasing a business to qualify for an E2 visa, there's a lot of important steps and a lot of work that needs to be done prior to the E2 visa. So first and foremost, you're purchasing an existing business. You need to do due diligence, make sure on the investment side, right? Like you're actually making a sound investment. Additionally, you have to acquire it, and there's several ways to do it. You can structure it as a stock purchase where you actually buy the company. You can structure it as an asset purchase where you're not buying the company, you're creating your own company and just think of it as buying the business from within the existing company. But all of this needs to be planned out. There's tax aspects to this. There's also business liability aspects. So as someone who works on the deal side, not just on the E2 visa side, often, frankly, to do this properly and to be able to help a client acquire that business requires a lot of work, and it's not necessarily less time than the E2 visa additional work on the E2 visa application when you're starting a new venture from scratch. Additionally, you have to actually find a business you want to purchase, which sometimes, if you're lucky, can be a very quick experience. But often I've had clients look for the right opportunity for the right purchase for many months, sometimes even years, right? So that will take time. Now, if you have that time, not an issue, but keep in mind that the worst thing you can do is try to rush purchase a business. A few years ago, I had a case where the clients wanted to move very quickly on purchasing a restaurant in the US, and because we were helping on the deal side, we figured out that the broker wasn't sharing information about the underlying lease. And what ended up happening is we figured out that the owner of the property, right, on which the restaurant was sitting, was actually planning to develop a condo on it. So the client, if we hadn't done all that due diligence and all that careful planning, almost bought a business that couldn't have operated in the location where it had tremendous success in the previous years. So bottom line is, make sure you invest and plan out and hire the right professionals, right, who can help with the actual business purchase. The other disadvantage I see with these cases is that you're kind of locked in to the business's past performance. Now, obviously, through your business plan and explaining what you will do with the business, you can demonstrate. If you're buying an unsuccessful business, you can still demonstrate that you qualify for an E2 as long as you have a good plan on how to scale it. But generally speaking, if you're buying an existing business, that business already has tax returns, profit and loss statements that you will need to submit to the US consulate, and the consular officer will see. So often what I see is, and I see this a lot with private equity type E2 visa applications, where the investors, the clients, they see an opportunity in a mismanaged business, and the business isn't doing so well, but they know that with their expertise, with their team, they can come in and scale that business. Well, you need to be able to demonstrate that to the officer, and unfortunately, the officer will look at past performance. So in those cases, the business plan and explaining what you will do with this business becomes absolutely critical. Now, that being said, I've done many of those cases, and there's not explaining that you will be able to add value to a business and scale it is not the end of the world. But you should keep in mind that unlike a brand new venture where you have a blank canvas you can draw on and you can explain your plan, when it comes to purchasing a business, there's already a piece of the canvas that's filled in, and those are the past year's tax return and the business performance. To sum up this video, buying a business and qualifying for an E2 visa is a fully viable option. Whether or not you should pursue this depends on your goals. And I'm kind of repeating this in each video I'm recording, but rather than reading somewhere or listening to someone that says, oh, this is better than starting a new venture because it's faster and you can easily demonstrate the substantial investment, well, it's not quite that simple. And the bottom line is you should look at your goals. If you have a business in mind, you want to purchase an existing business, that is your goal. You've seen, you've identified a business that you like, and you started negotiating and want to purchase it, well, amazing. Then this is a very viable option and could be to your advantage. If you're only doing this because you read somewhere that it's way faster or way better than starting a brand new business, well, then it may not be the best option. In that case, you should think about your goals and try to figure out what fits your E2 visa plan in the best way. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. Again, please like the video if you found it helpful and subscribe to the channel, and I'll continue to post videos that are hopefully helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.